Welcome to Norway Perspectives, brought to you by Norway Relocation Group. I'm your host, and today we're diving deep into a topic that affects every single parent who moves to Norway with children, or plans to bring their family here in the near future. That topic is the Norwegian school system, and more specifically, the hidden challenges and critical misunderstandings that can derail a family's smooth transition. Many parents arrive in Norway with a suitcase full of strong expectations, shaped by their experiences back home. Some, coming from highly competitive environments in Asia, the UK, or parts of the US, expect the system to be intensely academic from day one. Others anticipate a world of strict structure, frequent competitive testing, and early grades and rankings to measure their child's success. Nearly everyone assumes they'll be kept fully and proactively informed about everything that's happening in the classroom. But the reality you will encounter is profoundly different. Norway's education system is built on a foundation that can feel foreign in itself. It is based on a deep-seated cultural value of trust. Trust in the teacher, trust in the child, and trust in the parent. It is highly decentralized, meaning the experience in a school in Oslo can be quite different from one in Bergen or a small northern town. It is fundamentally holistic, valuing social development, emotional well-being, and practical skills just as much as academic knowledge. And crucially, it expects you, the parent, to be an active participant, even when the entire school seems to operate in a language you don't yet understand. In this episode, we'll guide you through this unique landscape. We'll explain how Norway's school system is structured, from the play-based world of Barnehage to the specialized paths of videregående. The most common things foreign parents misunderstand about homework, the absence of early grades, the curriculum's focus, and approaches to discipline. What really happens when children arrive with no Norwegian language skills, and the different types of support they might or might not receive. The nuts and bolts of digital communication with schools, how it works, why it's so important, and the common pitfalls that can leave you in the dark. Why waiting for paper letters, report cards, or phone calls from the teacher is a strategy doomed to fail. And most importantly, how you, as a parent, can effectively support your child, legally, emotionally, and academically, even if your Norwegian is still at the beginner level. We'll also reserve the end of the episode to share some practical resources to help your family not just survive, but thrive, including professional relocation support and targeted Norwegian language training. Let's begin with the very structure of education in Norway, a journey that looks quite different from many other systems worldwide. Norwegian education is a state-funded public service, divided into several distinct stages. First, there's Barnehage. This is the Norwegian equivalent of preschool or kindergarten, serving children from ages 1 to 5. While it's technically voluntary, the participation rate is over 90%. The focus here is overwhelmingly on play, socialization, and friluftsliv, or open-air living. Don't expect academic drills. Do expect your child to spend hours outdoors, regardless of the weather. Next is barneskole, or primary school, which covers grades 1 to 7. Children start in August of the year they turn 6. This is where formal learning begins, but it's gentle and integrated with subjects like mat og helse, food and health, music, and kunst og håndverk, art and crafts. Then comes Ungdomsskole, or lower secondary school, for grades 8 to 10. This marks a significant transition. Formal grades, called karakterer, are introduced, and the academic pace picks up as students prepare for the next stage. Finally, there's videregående skole, or upper secondary school, which is roughly equivalent to high school and covers grades 11 to 13. Here, students choose between vocational tracks, yrkesfag, which can lead to apprenticeships and a trade certificate, and academic tracks, studieforberedende, which prepare them for university. All public schools, from grade 1 through 13, are free. This includes textbooks, all necessary materials, and in most municipalities, even a laptop for each student. But don't let the word free fool you into thinking the system is simple to navigate. For newcomers, it's anything but. Let's tackle the first and perhaps most critical misunderstanding many parents have: the assumption that the school will proactively inform them about everything their child is doing. That is simply not how Norwegian schools operate. The entire system has shifted to a digital-first model based on parental self-reliance. Communication with parents happens almost exclusively through digital platforms like Visma in School, Skoler, or its local equivalent, often named something like Min skole, my school. These systems are powerful, but they are almost always only in Norwegian. The school's expectation is crystal clear. Parents must obtain access, which often requires a Norwegian ID number and bank ID, log in regularly, check for updates, read weekly plans, and message teachers directly through the portal. If you are waiting for a printed schedule in your child's backpack, a weekly report card, or a courtesy phone call to remind you about an upcoming event, it will, in all likelihood, never come. This leads directly to the first common and serious problem: parents unintentionally missing critical information which can cause their children to fall behind or miss out. We have seen well-meaning, attentive parents miss crucial notices about national testing dates, nasjonalprover, parent-teacher meetings, utviklingssamtaler, which are mandatory, required school health service checks, class field trips, including essential permission forms, samtykkeskema, important behavioral notes from a teacher, even deadlines for placement decisions for videregående. All of these notifications are typically posted as a message or a document in the digital portal in Norwegian, with absolutely no follow-up if you don't see them or respond. So, what happens when you don't check? The system doesn't wait for you. The school assumes you have been informed. They have fulfilled their duty by posting the information. The system expects you to read it, understand it, and act. If your child misses a key appointment or fails to submit a required form, the consequences fall squarely on you and your child. This becomes especially serious in Ungdomsskole and videregående, where attendance rules, fraværsregler, are incredibly strict. Once a student exceeds a certain percentage of unexcused absences, they can lose the right to receive a grade in that subject, or in severe cases, the right to complete the school year. And parents of children in mandatory schooling can even be fined for unexcused absences. Next, let's address another major point of confusion: the Norwegian approach to homework and grading. Many parents arrive in Norway ready to track their child's performance with detailed grading systems from day one, but that's not how early education works here. In barneskole, from grades 1 through 7, there are no formal grades. Assessment is based on teacher observation, feedback focused on development, and conversations about progress, not A's and B's, percentages, or class rankings. This can be profoundly disorienting for parents who are accustomed to using grades to measure learning. They may worry that their child isn't learning enough, or they might incorrectly conclude that the school is simply too relaxed and not serious about academics. But this approach is a deliberate pedagogical choice. Norwegian education is built on the principle of mastery over memorization. Teachers prioritize cooperation, creativity, critical thinking, and practical problem solving. The pressure is intentionally kept low in the early years to foster a genuine love of learning. The academic rigor does increase, but it happens gradually, primarily in Ungdomsskole. Yes, there are national tests, nasjonalprover, in grades 5, 8, and 9. But these are not high-stakes exams for the individual student. They are designed for system-level evaluation, to help the school, the municipality, and the government understand how the system is performing as a whole. Your child's results won't go on a permanent record that determines their future. So, when it feels like Norwegian education isn't serious, the truth is that it's just structured differently. The system trusts children to develop at their own pace and believes that academic pressure is best applied later in their educational journey. Now let's talk about a challenge that causes immense stress for families. What happens when your child doesn't speak Norwegian? When a child from abroad enrolls in a Norwegian school, they are placed in a class based on their age, not their language proficiency. Depending on the municipality, kommune, they may be placed in a reception class, innføringsklasse, for 6 months to a year. This offers intensive Norwegian language training before they transition into a regular class. In other municipalities, especially smaller ones, they may go directly into a mainstream classroom with some additional language support. But here is the critical challenge. Not every commune offers the same level or quality of support. Some schools have well-funded, robust language integration programs. Others, due to limited resources or different local priorities, may offer minimal help. It is not standardized across the country. And here's the part that catches many parents by surprise. You are also expected to actively support the language learning process at home. But how can you possibly help your child with their Norwegian reading homework if you don't speak the language yourself? How do you decipher the school emails, navigate the digital portal, or understand the weekly learning plan? This is precisely where many international families fall into a cycle of silent frustration. The child feels isolated and overwhelmed at school. The parent feels helpless and cut off from the school community. And the school, operating under its principle of shared responsibility, expects participation, but doesn't always have the resources to provide translation or extensive follow-up. Let's go one step deeper. What happens when parents, for whatever reason, don't participate? In Norway, the relationship between home and school is seen as a partnership, a samarbeid. Teachers expect parents to show up, not just for the 2 formal meetings a year, but in the day-to-day digital communication. If a child is struggling academically or socially, the school expects the parent to be an active, engaged partner in creating and following a support plan. If a parent consistently doesn't reply to messages, ignores invitations to meetings, or fails to engage, the school may escalate their concern. In serious and persistent cases of perceived neglect, where a child's educational or developmental needs are clearly not being followed up at home, the school has a legal obligation to report their concern to Child Welfare Services, Barnehage. This is not a common outcome, but it underscores how seriously parental responsibility is taken. In the Norwegian context, staying silent is not seen as neutral. It's often interpreted as a lack of engagement, which is seen as a problem. So, after all these warnings, what does success actually look like for a foreign parent navigating the Norwegian school system? It means becoming a proactive and engaged partner. It means making it a routine. Log into the school portal every week, perhaps every Sunday evening, to review the plan for the week ahead. Leveraging technology. Use the translate function in your web browser to get a basic understanding of messages, and don't be afraid to use it to write simple replies in Norwegian. Responding promptly. Acknowledge teacher messages on time, even if it's just to say, "Thank you, I have seen this." Managing digital paperwork. Learn how to sign digital permission forms and acknowledge attendance records within the portal. Showing up. Attend the parent-teacher development talks, utviklingssamtaler. You have a legal right to request a translator for these meetings, and you should. Asking questions. Don't be afraid to ask for clarification, even if your Norwegian is imperfect. Teachers would rather you ask than remain silent and confused. Success also means understanding your legal responsibilities. School is mandatory in Norway from age 6. Parents are legally required to ensure their child attends. If your child misses too many days, even for seemingly valid reasons like prolonged travel, cultural misunderstandings, or medical appointments that weren't logged correctly in the system, the school must report it. And once your child reaches Ungdomsskole, attendance is directly tied to their academic rights. If a student surpasses the limit for unapproved absences in a subject, they may not receive a final grade, which can jeopardize their ability to apply for videregående. And again, the school is not required to send you a flurry of paper warnings before this happens. The information and the attendance record are on the portal, and the responsibility to monitor it is yours. All of this can sound incredibly overwhelming, and frankly, a bit harsh. But our goal here is not to scare you. It is to prepare you. Because if you know what to expect, and what the school expects from you, you can be the kind of parent that Norway's school system is built to collaborate with. Even if you're still learning the language, even if the entire system feels new and strange, Even if your child is struggling to adapt, you can participate effectively. And now let's talk about concrete steps you can take to make that participation easier for you and for your child. If you need hands-on support in understanding the Norwegian school system, the structure, the communication platforms, the cultural expectations, and your legal rights as a parent, Norway Relocation Group can help. Our consultants assist families with the practical steps of school registration, communication with the commune, and getting set up and trained on the digital portals that are so vital for success. And if you or your child need to build the language skills to function confidently in this new environment, our partner, NLS Norwegian Language School, offers courses tailored to your real-world needs. They have programs specifically for parents, teens, and children, focusing on the practical, everyday Norwegian used in the classroom, in school-home communication, and in family life. Thank you for tuning in to Norway Perspectives. If you know someone who is raising children in Norway or is preparing to make the move, please consider sharing this episode with them. It could save them months of confusion and stress. And as always, we'll see you in the next one.